Hello everybody, so I'm going to be doing a test task, and this is going to be more of a walkthrough, and I'm going to be stopping at the most important parts because some of the stuff is going to be pretty interesting, so let's begin. So once we get to the top part, we're gonna have to make it as narrow as possible, well, almost zero. So we're going to select the top loop, that has to be flat, and I'm going to turn on the soft selection, and we're going to adjust this until we get something like this. I think it's gonna be fine if we just make this 5, and then make this something like 20. Make this part smaller also. So something like this looks pretty good. So let's see what it looks like with subdivision. Fair enough, we can tweak the form later if we need this. So I just selected a loop cut, duplicated it, and just extruded the edge until I got this basically the cylindrical form that I needed. So this is a pretty simple way to speed the things up. So my first couple of tries were completely unsuccessful, so I will just speed this up and I will proceed to the successful part. I've tried actually a lot of things. I've tried a volume builder and I've tried a standard typology method, so I tried to actually model this cut, but it didn't really work out, and I'm going to try this with a remesh, so let's continue. So I'm going to be selecting all of those edges, and I'm going to save that selection, and I'm going to place that in the remesh. So let me show you that. Let's place that inside of the remesh. Let's make this something like 3000 is gonna be okay. So let's make this symmetric. But also what we can do is store the selection. So store selection and place that inside of the hard edge selection and make this shading. So I mean, it looked pretty good even without the selection. We're gonna make bevels on those edges, and we're gonna clean up the geometry a little bit. And let's place this inside of the subdivision surface. Scale the insides because we have this kind of a fall off here. And then we can bevel this. And probably we're gonna have to remesh this again, but I think this is gonna be fine. And I think we're gonna have to have a selection here. Probably yes, because we might lose some of the details over here. I'm gonna set this to shading. And yeah, we don't really need the selection. The shading does a really good job. Make the second remesh, polygon count, and shading. And by the way, I'm doing this with a really cool instrument. This is called Polygon Pen. You can basically right click and choose the Polygon Pen or just press ME. This is really useful and you can clean stuff up like this really fast. Speaking of boxes, in the perfect case, you're gonna have to model the box the actual way that it is done in real life. So you're gonna have to fold this from an unwrap, and this is not really hard, but in our situation, I don't really think that we're gonna need to do that. So I'm going to make it pretty simple. So also don't forget that when you're subdividing, it's nice to have some supported edges, some loop cuts, and this is because of the distortion that the UV can have if you're subdividing something. So either apply the subdivision or have those support loops to help you with not distorting the image. So as example, I'm just going to open a texture, and this is going to be the texture that I'm going to have for this project. So if we unwrap this, for example, let's select only the part that we need right now. And this is going to be this one. So don't forget to select also your edges. Well, the place where your edges are going to be. Click here and restrict to polygon selection. And as you see, we have no distortion on the edges. But if we didn't have those, we're going to have distortion over here. Good thing to know is that you're gonna not have a perfectly rectangular shape, especially in the bottles of cream like this, because they're getting wider at the end and more narrow in the start. So I actually think we have to make it kind of like this even. So you're basically trying to keep this rectangle on the label itself so that it doesn't really get distorted. What I like doing here is just get an HDRI and turn off the diffuse channel to get some really realistic reflections, and this is exactly what I'm doing right now. So I didn't actually explain how I made those bumps on the top, but it was a pretty cool thing that I did here. I used the ramp to mask out the part that we need the bumps at, and I used the tiles texture to actually make the bumps themselves. It's a pretty simple method, but it's good to know how exactly it is done. So I actually had a lot of problems and my program just crashed when I tried to UV unwrap a really dense box. I decided to go without the subdivision surface. Instead of the subdivision surface, I used a bevel, and just a simple bevel is also a way to do this. So I think for boxes, you can actually go pretty high on the roughness, and then you can add a coat with some really small roughness, and then you can actually add some bump with noise to the coat, because I think it's gonna look really cool. It's almost like the car paint look when you have this small bump on the coat, but it looks really cool. So you can add maximum noise. Also, a pretty cool thing that you can do if your texture looks dull and unsaturated and just the black looks really bright, you can set the index of refraction lower. So for example, this is what 1.5 looks like, and this is what 1.1 looks like. So the lower your IOR is, the more your texture looks the way it looks without the light and without anything, so it looks like a plain texture. So I'm going to tell you what I did here. So I had this horrible background and I decided to play a lot with the roughness. So I created a ramp that nearly stops at the start of the vertical wall. And we have a really clean background because of it. So I think that it looks really good.